everybody, and welcome back to my channel. This is the Night Owl Stitcher, and my name is Mackenzie. Thank you so much for clicking on my video. And in today's video, I want to go over something I mentioned in my last video, which is my cross stitch schedule for achieving my goals. Someone had commented on my video asking me to go into a little bit more depth on it, and I thought, being that we're halfway through 2025 already, now would be the perfect time to reevaluate goals to make sure that we're achieving them by the end of the year. So in this video, I'm going to go through how I did that. And I do want to just throw a disclaimer out there that this video is not sponsored at all. I just thought it would be interesting to see if I could use ChatGPT to create a schedule for myself, and would like to share that with you guys. I also do want to say that ChatGPT is not the only software or AI software that you can use. You can also use a software called Genie, and I'm sure there are other ones out there. I did try on Genie myself, although I did not show it in this video. It is the exact same steps, but whether you're using ChatGPT or Genie, your ChatGPT or AI program will spit out potentially a different view or conversation with you than it does with me. It's all fairly similar. I did have multiple different conversations or chats going with ChatGPT, and they're all relatively the same. They might just break things down a little bit differently, but you can use these steps to have a conversation with your own AI program and basically achieve the same outcome. You can just have a conversation with your ChatGPT and ask it to give you what you're looking for exactly and how to break it down in a way that works for you, and also give context to your own stitching, your own lifestyle, and I do give tips for that in the next clip. Okay, so let's get into it. I'm going to switch over to my screen so you can see how to do this.
Okay everybody, so before we jump into using ChatGPT or other AI programs, what we're going to want to do is do some preliminary math. So you're going to want to make sure that you have recorded somewhere your stitches remaining on your projects. If you have projects that don't have stitch counts, that's totally fine. As you can see with some of mine here, I have some projects that I don't count stitches just because they're on paper charts or on programs that don't allow me to count stitches, like GoodNotes. But I do track most of my stitching in Notion, as you can see from this screen here. I do also want to let you guys know that some of the numbers that you see here will not be exactly what you will see on the next page in ChatGPT, and this is because I have been doing some stitching since, and my goals are also different than the entire project. So take that into consideration when you are calculating your goals. Make sure that you are only including the total stitch count for your goal, not the entire project. For example, if you look at my Freebie Harmony parrot that's recorded on the second row of this screen, you will see that the total stitch count for the project is 156,000 stitches. I have already completed 25,756 stitches, so my total stitches remaining is 130,244 stitches. With that said, my goal is not to complete the entire project, which would be the rest of those 130,244 stitches. Instead, I just want to complete the top row of pages of that project, which, with what I have already finished, the 25,756 stitches, that would leave me with 3,645 stitches to complete by the end of this year to complete that top row. Okay, so hopping over to chatgpt.com, you can see that I have sent a prompt. This prompt basically says that I'm a cross stitcher. I have cross stitch projects that I want to see goals on, that I want to see completed by the end of the year or sooner. I then break down all of my goals to say how many stitches that I would like to complete by the end of this year, and you can see my parrot is listed first at the 3,645 stitches to complete that top row of pages. I've done the same thing for the rest of my goals, except the few projects that I don't have stitch goals for, I have just included to say, just work on it every so often because I want to see some progress. At the end of this prompt, I've explained that I want to give myself some break days and catch up days, and I don't want each day to feel repetitive. So I wanted to give a good variety of projects each day. So moving on here, you can see that ChatGPT has already spit out a response that calculates each of the projects that I have that have stitch goals, how many projects are just projects I would like to get some progress on, and my total stitch goal, as well as the time frame that we have to work with for my goals. Next, you can see that it shows me the average stitch requirement per day in order to meet my stitch goals. And then it has a sample 7-day rotating stitching schedule. So it shows each day of the week with the projects that I would like to work on to complete my stitch goals, along with a stitch count for each day. You'll also notice here that for the goals I don't have stitch counts for, ChatGPT has automatically told me to work 30 to 60 minutes per day in order to see progress on those projects, so that I still have something measurable, but it doesn't have to be stitches in order to complete my goal of just seeing progress by the end of the year. ChatGPT has also given me a break day or a catch-up day on Saturday, which I had asked in my initial prompt message just because I don't typically stitch on Saturdays. So that's the day that it has allocated to a break day or catch-up day. Okay, so if we keep scrolling, the next thing you'll see is that ChatGPT has automatically broken everything down in terms of a weekly stitch count estimate. So it will actually show me the projects that I do have stitch count goals for and break down how many stitches that need to be completed per week in order to reach my goal. At the end of ChatGPT's initial response to my prompt, it actually asks if I would like a monthly printable checklist or digital calendar in the form of a Google Sheets or Notion. You can absolutely say yes to this. I'm not sure if you might need a paid account to do this, but definitely worth a try. I actually didn't try it. So the next thing I asked that I just kind of scrolled by is, does this ensure that my stitch goals will be met by the end of the year? This is very important because the first time I did this, I noticed that the stitch counts just didn't sound right. They just sounded like they were a little less than they should be. And actually, as you will see here, when I scroll down, it says that this is not enough to reach that 83,000 stitches by the end of the year. So it actually makes a suggestion to fix this goal. Now, you might be asking, you said to finish it by the end of the year. Why did it spit out numbers that aren't going to give you that? To that, I don't have an exact answer, but obviously ChatGPT and AI is all kind of new, and it's just, I think, an imperfect system. Obviously, it's getting better and better every day, and it's pretty incredible what it can do. But I like to verify everything just to make sure that it is going to give me exactly the information that I'm looking for. Anyway, so then it asked if I wanted to update my schedule. I ended up reducing the amount of stitches on my Haid cell to 43,000 stitches in my goal, as opposed to what it was earlier, just to make it more attainable, which is actually the 6 pages required for the reward chart at the end of the year. And then it will, again, give you a response in terms of how many stitches that need to be complete each day of the week for the rest of the year in order to complete that goal. I also just want to quickly add here that you can actually put in how many hours per day you have to be able to stitch, and it can take that into consideration as well. So you can really kind of do whatever you need to do to customize this for you and your lifestyle. I then asked it to give me a schedule not in table format and instead just in a text format like it does initially, because I like to copy and paste it into a Word document, which you will see in a bit. So my new goal average is 317 stitches per day. Saturdays are non-stitching days, and this includes light days and projects that have a no stitch goal. Okay, so then this might feel redundant, but I did ask if the new schedule ensures that all of my goals are met by the end of this year, And when I scroll down, you will see that yes, they are all going to be met by the end of this year if I stick to this schedule, which is the hard part. But I really find that using ChatGPT and breaking everything down like this for you, you can really see what's attainable and what isn't, what works for your schedule, what doesn't, and you can fiddle with the numbers back and forth. You can, again, make it customizable to your lifestyle, add more break days, add more stitching days, add more hours per day you can stitch, higher stitch count goals, stuff like that. You can do a bunch of stuff. Obviously, add as many projects as you would like to add. I only have a few here. These are all the whips that I have. And I might not meet all of these goals. I don't expect to meet all of these goals by the end of the year, but it does really hold me accountable and allow me to see what is attainable for myself and my lifestyle. Okay, so now I'm just going to scroll to the top of the schedule that I think best suits me and that I like the most. Just going to make sure that this is the one I want because obviously we went back and forth a couple times. I'm going to click that copy button and then head over to either my Word document or a Pages document and just click paste. And there you go. That's your schedule. So I just take out the number signs. I take out all the asterisks. You can add bold. You can add, anything you want really to this document to make it your own. But then you have all the numbers and the project breakdowns. Simple as that. You can take out the intro if you want. And then there's also a closing little paragraph that you could decide to leave or not. But that's essentially it. So then you're going to click save, print it if you want to print it, and you have a schedule for the rest of the year.
Okay, everybody, I hope that video was helpful to you. Please let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. I do read all my comments and I do respond to all of them. So if you have any questions, I will do my best to answer them for you. And I hope that you go and try this on your own and let me know how it works for you. I'm very curious to see if this puts things into perspective for you, if it gives you some motivation to finish your goals by the end of the year or whatever your goal date might be. But let me know. I'm very curious to see if this video was helpful and if it worked for you. I will link ChatGPT and Genie in the description below so you guys can play around with them and see what works best for you. You can also use the apps on your phone to do the same thing. I found it easier on my computer just because I can copy and paste it into that Word document and print it out, and then I can refer to this as I stitch and keep it with my stitchy stuff. I think that's everything. So thank you so much for clicking once again. And I hope you guys stick around if you're new to my channel. And for those of you who are returning, thank you again so much for clicking on my video once again. And leave me a comment. Let me know if this was helpful and what else you'd like to see from me. Have a good stitching, everybody. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.